Hello and welcome to the Body Mind Biohacker Podcast, the podcast for busy individuals who want to improve their life and the lives of people around them. This show is designed to empower you with actionable, proven biohacks and life hacks to improve your health, optimize your body, and achieve happiness and success. Hi, I'm Ryan Kimball, a certified Ketogenic Fasting Health Coach and Life Coach. I'm your host. In this podcast, we will interview experts and people at the top of their game, as well as share insights that I've gathered over the years. Thank you for being with me today. Let's get right into it. Okay, hi everyone. So welcome to our new podcast for the week. And today our guest is Dr. Jeffrey Smith from Standard Process. And he is going to go over a little bit about what he does, why he does it, and some very interesting topics that you will find immediately usable in your life. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Jeffrey Smith.
Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming on and watching. And I'm excited to have the talk today. And just as a little introduction and background, my name is Jeffrey Smith. I'm a chiropractic doctor. And now I am the representative for Standard Process in Central and Western New York. So I was in practice as a chiropractor and nutritionist for about 10 years, and then got the chance to work with Standard Process, which I just absolutely love the transition. It's just brings nutrition to the forefront, and I get to work with over 1,000 healthcare practitioners in Western and Central New York, and helping them, understand nutrition and incorporating that with their patients. So,
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being on. So, well, let's get right into it. I mean, I know Standard Process, and I've worked with them for years here at the practice, and they're all about whole food nutrition and whole food supplements. So, why whole food supplements?
Well, whole food supplements has really been an idea that our founder, Dr. Royal Lee, back in the 1920s, even earlier, established, just understanding that the nutrients, minerals, vitamins from food are much more digestible, and the body can utilize them much easier than it can synthetic vitamins and isolates is what we like to call them. So, I tend, as I was in practice, I used to, talk to people about, okay, there's pharmaceutical medications, which are needed in some instances. And really, they should only be used in short-term instances, to get you out of a bad issue. And then you go down the line a little bit, and then we have what we call nutraceuticals. And nutraceuticals, they're really, made mostly by pharmaceutical companies, and they're isolate. They're vitamin isolates. I like using the example of vitamin C and ascorbic acid. Well, ascorbic acid is just the shell of what that vitamin C complex is really all about. So if you're taking a high dose, ascorbic acid, are you getting the carotenoids and the rutin and the P factors and the J factors and all of these, and the copper, tyrosinase that really encompasses that whole vitamin C complex. And that's where you get those from foods. So you don't need to do these mega high doses of things. You can eat, a carrot, or you can eat an orange, and you can get, yes, vitamin C, but all the other factors that make it work appropriately. So, outside of those nutraceuticals, then you have whole food supplements and herbs. We certainly love to use herbs as, and they, in essence, they work a little differently than, say, whole food vitamins and minerals, but they're still food. Royal Lee, when he the company was originally developed and formed in 1929, but he had done this research well before then to come up with these whole food supplements, and it's really just awesome to see the way it's grown, and to see the way people are understanding it more now. You've seen whole food companies kind of pop up, and people, when you talk to them about, okay, well, eating that fruit and vegetable there's so many other things in there than just these isolated nutrients. And you can take these whole food nutrients at therapeutic doses and really start to see some changes in your health. Because unfortunately, I think there's way more people in this country in general that are nutrient deficient versus nutrient sufficient. So using whole foods is a great way to get you to the levels that you need to be. And if things aren't working properly, then you have to take them at little higher doses and depending on length of time. But the whole goal is to not need them, to just be eating the foods that are nutrient dense and you're in good shape. And every once in a while maybe you do a little cleanse and overall you're leading a really good healthy lifestyle and have the energy that you'd like. You're having good sleep that you'd like. So that's what whole foods.
Nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. So, well, one question that came to mind while you were talking is, aren't the nutraceutical level supplements made in a lab completely? They're not actually derived from food, are they?
Most of them aren't. Absolutely. We use the example of ascorbic acid, and that's corn sugar and sulfuric acid mixed together in a lab to make ascorbic acid. So some of the emergency and some of these other short-term immune builders that are just you look at the labels, and anytime you see labels, because I know at NWC you guys look at labels, you look at ingredients in foods, and when you look at supplement labels and you see 2,000-3,000% of the RDA, that can't come from food. So it's got to come from a synthetic source. And some of the other nutrients like B vitamins come to mind. They come from usually from coal tar, and and it's we could go on and on. Synthetic vitamin D and on and on. And there are cases where a synthetic may be appropriate. I think the important thing is that you're bringing in all of the other cofactors that will help you process that vitamin. D comes to mind, and D is extremely important. It's almost a hormone, versus a vitamin. And what it does is it draws calcium from the gut into the blood. Well, you want a specific amount of calcium in the blood. You typically want the calcium, in the muscles, in the bones. Immune system uses a ton of calcium, so you have to have the essential fats to push it in the right direction. So we see people taking these mega high doses of synthetic vitamins, and it can really cause a lot of issues. There's a research paper out, and it was maybe I'll remember the actual name of it as we talk about it, but it was done over about 15-20 years with women, and they looked at all of these different synthetic vitamins, and really what it proved was 60,000 women over 20 years, 15-20 years, that all of these supplements increased all-cause mortality except for calcium. The calcium that they were using was a calcium carbonate, which is like chewing sidewalk, but it did, at least it didn't increase their chances of dying. So that's where some people will look at supplements and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't need that. It's a racket. But not all of them are created equal, is really what it comes down to. And you have to be very, very careful about using synthetics and not having those cofactors to help them be utilized properly by the body.
Awesome. Yeah, well, makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Okay, great. So, right now in the world, there's a lot of things going on, and we've had an interesting couple of years, and mental health issues and people's emotional state has become more of a common situation that we're trying to remedy as we work as coaches and practitioners. And I was wondering, could you speak to supplementation using standard process supplements to help with that?
Absolutely. And yeah, without, going down that whole side of what's been going on the last, couple of years, regardless of any of that, mental health has really, for most people, and including, myself, it's, you go through these different stages of anger and frustration and then get to the point like, oh my gosh, I can't talk to anyone about what's going on. And so your body, when you're stressed like that, things just don't work. The things that come to mind, right off the bat, everybody thinks about the adrenal glands for stress and, the excess cortisol production when we're stressed. But think about digestion. If there's what we call the autonomic nervous system, and then that's broken down into the sympathetics and the parasympathetics. And the sympathetics, everyone understands, like the fight or flight. That's usually, something that people have heard. And the parasympathetics, not maybe known as much, but I like to call it the rest and digest. So if you're like always in fight or flight and you're always sympathetic dominant, your digestion's not working. It doesn't work. And, I tend to drive around Western New York a lot, and, I'll be going down the highway at a clip and usually passing people and looking over, and you see somebody, chewing a big burger or something like that. I think about, oh my gosh, how is that like being digested in their stomach? It's just not happening. And so then you get this undigested food, which creates a whole another set of issues. So yeah, stress and mental health is super important. How can you, and you got to kind of address your individual, mental health, and then, then you're going to be a better person for your spouse or your kids and all of that. And there's certainly, nutrients that can help that. The herbs are one of the things that I really, really like. Things like St. John's wort, things like kava are just, wonderful kind of relaxers. St. John's wort's always thought of for depression and anxiety, but it's a nervine, so people with nerve pain can use St. John's wort effectively. That's the herbal side, or MediHerb is our sister company that we use for herbals. And then on the standard process side, one of the things that we love to use for calming the nervous system is minerals, really good minerals. So things like organically bound minerals, which are these alkaline ash minerals that just really bring somebody out of sympathetic dominance. And we make a couple other products, one being Mintran. And Mintran, that tran stands for tranquilizer. It's not like a tranquilizer. It's not going to, put you to sleep or anything, but it's a whole food based, calming nutrient. And there's a lot of sea kelp in there and other, alkaline ash minerals that are really going to help calm someone. And then, you go up one step to that Minchex. And then you go up another step to Orchex. And Minchex is kind of a combination of the Mintran and Orchex. And, one of the unique things with standard process is we do use glandulars. And that's what that Orchex is, and the combination Minchex. And they work fantastic for people, especially at night. I think that's kind of a big time when people, their sleep, tends to be affected by the stress and their mental health. Right. So, trying to get that calming atmosphere at bed is really important, and you can certainly use those minerals, and one of the other big ones for sleep is it's a B vitamin. We call it Cataplex G, but using that Cataplex G at bedtime, it works wonderful. It's like I said, part of the relaxing side of the B complex. Wonderful for spasms as well on another note. But there's lots of different options to help with that mental stress. And then on the same side of things, there's lots of things you can do in general, just maybe not staring at your phone right before you go to bed, or
Right.
read for a little bit, or not exercising right before bed, or the other big thing that's happened in the last couple of years is what kind of consumption's gone up, the alcohol consumption, along with carbohydrates. So those things are really going to affect your sleep, which is going to create that vicious cycle of waking up tired, and then that making you more and more stressed. So there's definitely different ways, different herbs. I know you guys like to use a lot of Nevaton at NWC, and there's a few different herbs in that works absolutely wonderful. It's there's a speaker, a naturopathic doctor who comes down from New Hampshire, Dr. Bob Scott, and he likes to call that happy pills. And
I love that.
Who couldn't use some happy pills nowadays?
Right.
And again, you do these things on the outside to relieve stress, and whether it's stretching, doing yoga, walking, eating healthier, and then you add these different nutrients and herbs into the picture, and you tend to get really good results. And they shouldn't have to be forever,
Right.
but we're kind of in a chronic stressed state, and
Right.
everybody typically understands that, and has heard, maybe they've learned in their high school or college days, that stress is a good thing. Well, it is a good thing, but it was meant to end, so
Right.
you stress the body, and you should be able to adapt to that stressor. But we weren't designed to just have that stressor hammer you and hammer you and hammer you every single day. You need a relief. You need a break from it. So that's why you got to take vacations, and take the time to exercise, and that's why I take a big handful of supplements every day too, because it definitely, we're busy. That's
Right.
People have lost their jobs, or lost income if they haven't lost their jobs. There's just a whole myriad of things that have happened in the last couple of years, and to cause those stressors. So and this, same for me. I try to stay positive and happy and healthy, but but we're super busy and moving at a pace that probably wasn't like normal 30, 40, 50 years ago. Running offices, running kids around. I've got kids who play travel hockey and other sports, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're just all over the place. So I tend to try to eat as healthy as I can, and take these supplements that really helps. Adrenal complex just came to mind too. That's in my protocol right now, and that's just licorice and Romania. And Romania is a super adaptogen for the adrenal glands, as well as licorice too. But I just love that. I know when I have stressed times, I used to have that on my desk at my practice. I'd take one of those and suck on it like a little candy for a little bit. It's actually pretty tasty.
Nice.
And then down it, but you just feel this overwhelming warmness come over, and just your shoulders drop, and you just take some deep breaths and move along.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. There's so many remedies out there. Part of it is just knowing or having a support system that knows what to give your body at the right time. So I think that's so true, everything you just said. And, one thing I wanted to just dig a little deeper on, you had mentioned the rest and digest state and how that relates to a person being happy and, stable, doing well. And it sounds like there's specific targeted supplements you take, minerals being one of them, that puts your body into the rest and digest state, which then allows you to be healthier. And then that affects the emotional health of the person. Is that kind of the correlation there?
Yeah, absolutely. There's never, one system that you're affecting without affecting the others. It just doesn't happen. So, for me, and I certainly know down to NWC, digestion typically has to be the first thing that you're addressing. If you're stressed, your hydrochloric acid production in your stomach goes down, and we need hydrochloric acid in our stomach to break down, proteins, fats, and carbs, as well as minerals, those micronutrients that we tend not to talk about as much. If you don't have that hydrochloric acid, how are you gonna ionize your calcium, your magnesium, your iron levels are all going to be affected. So, and if you don't have those, how are your endocrine organs going to work? Your adrenals, your thyroid? It's not going to happen. So yeah, that tends to be that early place to start is digestion. So, don't be driving down the highway at 85 miles an hour trying to eat a meal. It's not going to work. And we can even go into outside of the supplementation thing, is like if you're working a lot during the day, and you only get you're a nurse and you get like maybe 15 minutes to down something, or 20 minutes to down something, probably not a good time to chew on a steak and a bunch of raw vegetables that you have to really chew to break them down to absorb the nutrients. Maybe things like a shake might be just a nice nutritional protein shake, that where you blended some of those things up might be nice. Maybe soup, something that's like cooked things down a little bit more, is going to just be a little bit easier to digest. And in an ideal situation, you can take a little longer and chew your food and let it, take, how nice would it be to like, okay, I'm gonna eat now, and you prepare your meal and eat your meal, and then you go sit down, maybe take a nice little 15-20 minute nap. Like, this would be ideal, but it's not going to be possible for everyone. So that autonomic nervous system, you really have things in balance. And I would use the analogy in practice of like, okay, well, you get the fight or flight, but do you really think you're worried about that steak, digesting that steak you ate, if you've got like a robber right behind you, running at you, trying to shoot you or rob you or whatever? And the same thing goes for if you just ate a meal. Well, don't go out and try to run sprints or a marathon, or it's just not going to work. That blood, when you eat a meal, needs to go to your visceral organs, your intestines, your liver, all of those organs that are important with digestion. It's not focused on getting that blood and nutrients to your muscles to run. So it's just thinking about that state, when you're eating, and that it just creates a better mental health honestly, overall. So
nice.
Hope that answers it for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great information. We're going to wrap up here. I always like to end just by asking the person who's the guest, what is it that you think is probably the best thing a person could do right now to improve their health? It's a big question, but just what comes to mind for that?
The biggest thing they can do to improve their health. Okay, well, that could be a long-winded answer because I don't really think there is one specific thing. But if I had to say for like the American population or the population in general, because I'm sure we've got some people that are listening to your podcast and NWC. They're the outliers. They're the ones that are, wanting to improve their health and have already started that journey. But I imagine that we have a lot of people on here that haven't done that. So number one thing, cut out the processed sugars. And they have to go. You cannot improve health if you're, consuming high fructose corn syrup or any artificial sweetener and, any of that. And, it's in the early 1800s, I think the average consumption per person was about 4 pounds of sugar a year. The average now is over 150 pounds. So, and that's, there's a group of people that aren't consuming that. They're maybe still consuming 4 pounds. So other people are making up for the stuff that we're not, so some people are consuming, oh my gosh, 200, 300, 400 pounds of sugar a year. And you're just, you can't go anywhere with that. And, that we can get into the scientific reasons of how, sugar just depresses the immune system. And they've done studies where, you ingest, I think it's 75 grams of sugar, which is less than like a soda, and your cell-mediated immunity, your immune system, is depressed by 50% for 2 hours. 2 hours. So if you're, having 75 grams and then, say that's just breakfast because you had cereal and had a piece of toast. And then, for lunch, you go and you have a sub, it just continually adds on. And their immune systems are just really never functioning 100%. So it kind of brings me back, and you can stop me at any time, but it brings me back to the whole last couple of years, and there's all of these different, zinc, vitamin D, other more allopathic, attempts at trying to curb a virus. Well, cut out the sugar and, eat some whole foods, and your return, ROH, return on health, is going to be way better than if you're inoculated. It's just fact. So, we're spending all of this money and causing all of these fears. In my opinion, they could be addressing health with, eating well, cutting out sugar, and you're going to get far better results. So how's that?
Awesome. I love it. That's great. Yeah. ROH. That's great. Return on health. Yeah. So cut sugar. That's your highest ROH.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're consuming. Now, if you're not consuming, then then you've got some other options. But
sure.
We talked a lot about those, but you asked for one.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Great answer. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You got it.
Thank you for all the input, and I really appreciate you being on today.
Excellent. And thank you very much for having me. And I wish everybody an absolute wonderful spring and summer, and stay positive, and get outside, soak up that sun, and hug your family.
Awesome. Thank you for taking some time to listen to this episode today. I hope you got a lot out of it. I definitely enjoyed bringing it to you. To reach me and get more information, check out my website, longevityfitnessandhealth.com. There is a free download there for biohacks for improving your lean body mass, as well as improving your fitness, health, and longevity.
check me out on Instagram at Longevity Fitness and Health, or you can email me, info@longevityfitnessandhealth.com.